Good morning, everyone. So it's Fancy Friday, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about confidence, and not just general confidence, but I suppose you could take it that way. So let's get started. I am going to tell you that this is something that will take a little bit of time, and it's very natural that, especially when you of course it kind of depends on who you are, and it's very individual to each person, but I'd like to share some thoughts and some experiences on this topic, and hopefully maybe I don't really know if I can inspire you all that much, but I will tell you a little bit about my journey when it comes to confidence as a programmer and doing professional work and so forth, and the way that your perception kind of changes. At least my perception changed. Hopefully it will be useful to you. So at my first job, when I first started out as a programmer, it started out with just one insecurity and very quickly developed to two insecurities. The first insecurity I had was that I was absolutely convinced that I wasn't smart enough to do this. I didn't have what it takes. I couldn't solve the problems because I always felt like there was somebody out there who was much faster or much better, and for the most part that's true. I mean, there's always somebody who's going to be better, but nonetheless that was one of the gremlins in my head, one of the voices telling me I couldn't do it. And unfortunately I was in this very poor, I kind of had the unfortunate luck, if you will, to be put as my first job in a situation where everything told me that this was the truth. Basically, I was a junior developer who became in charge of, let's set the context here first and foremost. At my first job, who have literally been coding in school for I think 2 years or something like that, am put in charge of a small-sized company's new flagship product, but the first attempt that this company has ever had at building a real application. There's no one my bosses, basically all the people I work with, they have really no experience when it comes to software delivery at a larger scale. The company was basically a design bureau to start off with. So I was in a very tricky position because in essence what they needed was a senior developer. But yeah, basically they had me. And the thing is that when you start out, you will feel all this insecurity, and you will feel, at least I felt that every time my boss came to me and asked, okay, how are things going, Frederick? I felt, because I had this anxiety to perform, to prove to this person, to prove to my boss that I know this stuff. He and she was actually two. You made a good choice in picking me to do this thing. I wanted to prove myself so much. I wanted to prove that I know this stuff. So every time they came and asked me about it, I felt that this was a very uncomfortable experience. And I was so nervous. I just told them, yeah, everything is going nice. And then they asked the question, I hated that question. God, I still hate it sometimes. So when are you done? When do you think you're going to be done? Once again, my insecurities told me that they are now asking an aggressive question. This is an aggressive situation because I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm not sure. But the reptile part of my brain won't let me see it any other way. So it tells me, shit, just make up a number that will make them happy so that they'll, so everything goes away. And so I did. I estimated very incorrectly for the most part. I even sometimes told them things that I didn't know if this was really going to be true, because I had no idea. Because I could not let myself just say, I'm sorry, I don't really know actually. I could use some help on this from somebody more experienced, because it feels very uncomfortable for me to be this fresh in programming and then be alone on a large project like this with no one who can give me any guidance. Anyway, I kept at it, and as time progressed, the insecurities took more and more control. Like I started I started causing bugs and stuff. Like I basically needed help. I really needed help, but I was too afraid to actually ask for it, to actually just tell my boss. And I'm not gonna put this on anybody else, but I do feel that we could. I'll tell you how this played out all in the end. But at the time, I could even some of my old teachers and so forth said that it's a little bit odd for an employer to hire somebody as a junior programmer and not provide any type, like nothing, very little in terms of assistance or guidance. It's a very weird setup. But this was my trial by fire, and I'm very happy that I was in this situation, because it was the roughest time of my career. No, hands down. I've never been in a situation like that before, and it proved to me that I love this job. I love being a programmer, because trust me, had I not cared, or if there had been a single shred of doubt that I wanted this more than anything else in my entire life, I would have quit. Trust me, because that's how rough it was. Like, it was really horrible. So much anxiety, so much panic. I'm not saying that this is going to be true for you, but for me it was. So when I got my next, I got my next job and started, I actually came in to work at Ticketmaster. And for better or for worse, I have to tell you that, you can think what you want about the company, but the people, like the development team, really showed how mature and well structured the working environment was. It was a completely different world. They knew that they were hiring a junior. They knew that there was going to be a learning period and all that stuff. The company's maturity really showed that they knew how to pull in new people, and they basically trained me in many ways. I learned so much, and I'm still, to this day, I'm so grateful for meeting all these amazing colleagues that I had there. And then, I progressed, and, I kept on going. And it was really at Ticketmaster I saw, where I kind of learned something that is with me now. And I think that has affected me quite a bit. And it's such a silly thing. It's such a small thing, and I don't even think he knew how much that impacted me. I didn't tell him, because he's too cool for school. I still love that guy. I love him for this. He was an old colleague of mine called Mark, and we were in, when I first started, as you can imagine, a big system, fairly junior programmer working, I will cause a bug. And I remember the first time I created a so-called P1 at the company, which is basically a critical bug that needs to be fixed within 24 hours because it's disrupting business. I felt horrible. It was so horrible. I didn't know what to do. Like, everybody else were kind of, relaxed, but I had, as a junior, you have performance anxiety. You want to prove to everybody that you're good. And so I felt absolutely horrible, and I felt attacked from every angle. And a few months later, we're in stand-up, and somebody mentions that, we have a P1 bug. And Mark just stands there like he's always done, cool as cool can be. And he said, sorry, it's probably, I know what that issue is. I was messing around with some stuff, and I'll look at it. And the product manager basically say, so you're responsible for this, Mark. And he kind of goes, nothing. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't do anything. He just fessed up and just stood there. I'll solve it. And then he was quiet. And I just stood there, and I don't know what happened, but something snapped inside of me, and I realized that he just fessed up. Like, he he's not insecure. He doesn't feel any anxiety. He doesn't seem to feel any anxiety. And now he's going to fix it. And it's okay. It's just okay. I can't tell you exactly why this felt so profound to me, but it felt so profound. So I started doing it. I started just like being honest about, that you don't know. It opened it made something change. I can't tell you what. But I started telling my colleagues that, hey, could you, instead of sitting there trying over and over and over again to, make a thing that I couldn't really, like if I had a problem or if I couldn't progress, instead of just sitting there and suffering and trying to figure it out on my own to prove to my colleagues that I was competent, I just asked for help. I just became more honest, if you will. Told them what I was good at, told them what I was bad at, and if I caused an issue, I just fessed up to it. And then I said, yeah, that's my bad, sorry, I'll take care of it. That's all that changed. And it shifted everything in me. I can't, it's such a hard thing to explain, but I'll finish the story about my first job, because when I quit that job, like the boss who I had such a problem, like I felt like I left down over and over and over, I told them, like I actually said to her that I'm sorry that I couldn't perform better. And she just looked at me and she said, well, Frederick, you don't have to think that it's just, this is not on you, this is on us. We have a company that requires a high level of experience, and we can't provide the working environment that you need to grow and to become better. And so, and that kind of, it moved me, it made me kind of, it's one of those things that I take with me. And I hope that what I'm saying to you is being relayed in the correct way. It's your reptile brain as a junior developer will tell you that you have something to prove to everybody else. But don't let it stop you from asking for help and not being honest, because trust me, people will know that you are not, you can't trick anybody into believing that you're more experienced than you are. Trust me, they will see through you, and you will have such a much easier time, and you will grow much faster if you're just being honest about it. I mean, trust me, take it from somebody who knows. Fess up to your mistakes, ask for help, and be transparent about where you are in your career. And trust me, things will be much nicer than if you sit there and suffer in silence.